everyone, and welcome to the APLL Pulse podcast, where you can uncover new insights from the logistics and freight forwarding industry through the seasoned experts at APL Logistics, a global supply chain provider. We'll help you keep pace with the current topics impacting businesses and advance your logistics strategy. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today on the APLL Pulse podcast. We have an exciting guest today. It's John Charles Ledoux. He goes by JC, so we'll be calling him JC today, but he is our Senior Business Development Manager in France. So JC, thank you so much for joining us. I want to hear about all the new stuff we have going on out there, but why don't you go ahead and start us off with telling us a little bit about yourself?
Thanks, April, for having me on this podcast. Very excited. So my name is John Charles, but I go by JC. Like you said, it's much easier for everyone. I am based in Paris, France. I'm luckily based in this beautiful city. My background is mainly in the freight forwarding industry for the past 20 years. I work for different major freight forwarders, mainly in sales, business development, or global account management. That's my background.
Okay. And I know that you've lived lots of places, right? You've kind of gone around the globe a little bit.
Yes, I lived in the US for a very long time, for 15 years, in New York, in Charlotte, North Carolina, in Denver, Colorado. I have two passports. I have a US passport and a French passport. So that's why I was very lucky to have many opportunities back and forth between France and the United States. Lately, I just moved back for APLL in May this year when I joined APL Logistics here in France.
Such a benefit of a global company, having these opportunities to be in different cultures, go, move different places. So I'm so glad that you were already here and when we were ready to launch out in France. So let's talk about that. So we have launched an office recently out in France. So what are some of the main benefits that you see of having an office located there?
First thing I would say is that it comes from a request from some of our customers to be present in France. Rather, they are already themselves set up in France or they're looking to do so in the future. So it's not that we're new to France, we're just a new office of APL Logistics Europe in France, I would say. We already have a few customers here in France or global customers that are using APL Logistics with the final destination being France. So we're not starting from scratch or from zero. It's really a new continuation of APL Logistics in Europe. It was a very logical option for us to go to France because of the centric geographical situation for France in Europe, and of course being one of the strongest GDP country in the continent. So yes, that was a logical next step for APL Logistics.
Yeah, when did we actually open that office?
It was created, I would say, before I joined in May. So I think it was at the beginning of the year. The legal part of APL France was created in January 2025.
Okay, so let's go on and talk about some of the things that are unique to France. So what are some of the unique challenges that you think that we're going to be facing there or that you've seen that we're facing in France?
Yes, number one, I would definitely talk about the geopolitical instability that we see in the Red Sea area, which is between Africa and the Middle East, where all the ships coming from Asia, from China or Southeast Asia are going up the Suez Canal into the Mediterranean Sea, into Fos-sur-Mer for the south of France, or to Le Havre for the northern part of France. And it's been very much affected on the transit time, as we imagine that now we have to go around Africa through the Cape of Good Hope up to Northern Europe. So that has put a tremendous pressure on cost, delays for raw material or finished goods. So our customers been pushed to build resilience and really evaluate on the global sourcing strategy. So we see some customers now trying to not only source from these very far away places like Asia, but to also move some of their sourcing closer to France. That's what we call reshoring. Reshoring is when they come back closer to their delivery point. The sourcing is closer to their delivery point.
I feel like that's been happening around the globe, right?
Yes, it's nothing new to France, but the reason why we had to do it is to cover this issue. And of course, this came from COVID, after COVID, so that there was big difficulties in semiconductors and all this to be so dependent on the Far East and to be so dependent on suppliers that everybody was very high concentration of sourcing. So I think now the goal is to diversify their suppliers and to reshoring those production and find suppliers that are closer to them, to their market, to counter this geographical and geopolitical issues.
Makes sense. It really does. So going forward, how are we differentiating ourselves from other logistics providers in France? Because obviously there are other logistics providers in France and they have been there. And so how do you feel like we are differentiating ourselves?
Yes, you're right. There's a lot of logistics providers in France. It's a key market for all freight forwarding companies, carriers, or you name it. So yes, there's big competition. I think what differentiates us from the competition is the large amount of data that we gather from all our experience, all our customers, and that gives us a very predictive analytic system. It can provide our customer the truth of what is out there. It's not only what the carrier says it is what we know it is. When a carrier say the port pair transit time that you're looking, let's say from a port in Asia to a port in Europe is 30 days, well, we know it's wrong. We know it's 37 days or 38 days. We have those data that can tell you exactly how many days it's going to be. And that's what our customers are going to be using and considering for their supply chain prediction and planning. That's extremely important because one, we can make a big difference in supply chain, especially if you expect a high number of containers. If you have all your stuff ready for one day and actually the containers are coming 7 days later, it's impacting your supply chain very much. Because we also know that, unfortunately, in the world that we live in, the punctuality is no longer a standard. The standard is now to be late. Punctuality is almost a premium service. Actually, some carriers are considering putting being on time as a premium service and charge for it. It sounds very bizarre in our world, but this is the world we live in. This is our way to help our customer to overcome that issue of punctuality for the carriers.
Right. It's like, don't just tell us what we want to hear. Tell us what's actually true. The decades of experience that we have does help us to be able to tell them the truth about it, not just what they would want to hear.
It's one area where we can help our customers. Of course, we have many other services that we offer that can help our customers in PO management, in vendor management, in the origin consolidation. It's going to mainly help them to move away from air freight and going into more ocean freight, and also moving away from small quantity shipping that is extremely costly. I'm talking about LCL, I'm talking about 20-foot containers that are very costly to logistics in your supply chain, and moving into consolidating and do more 40s and load these containers to their maximum of capacity. I would say that these two things that are the most helping to our customers.
What's the biggest port in France?
It's Le Havre. So Le Havre is on the northwest of France. It's one of the largest ports in Europe, and it's very much used for entry point in France from China, from Asia, from Southeast Asia, from India, of course. And it's a big port also for the transatlantic business between, I would say, the United States, but also South America. And then it's Marseille. Marseille is very concentrated in the south. It's in the Mediterranean Sea, very concentrated with Africa being so close. So with the ferries and going into the different countries of Tunisia, Morocco, Algeria, that all board the Mediterranean Sea on the Africa side, big on the automotive business, a lot of retail based in those countries that come into Europe via the port of Marseille, but also they're open to the rest of the world. A lot of goods are transiting through Marseille from different parts of the world. So it's also a very critical port for France.
Well, with your depth of knowledge about this area and logistics in general, and us as APLL, which products or services do you think are going to be a big hit in France?
I think our technology of the LSS Plus will be the most impacting product that we have, along with our predictive analytics system, Autopilot, because we do see in France a lot of companies struggling with insufficient real-time supply chain visibility. France government or authorities have launched a program called Logistics 4.0 by 2030, which should support the French companies. And sometimes you'll be very surprised by the name because you think they're already there, but they're actually not. So we need to have a big push on that. and especially to integrate digital technology like AI, IoT, to optimize their planning and anticipation. So when you think about that, this is exactly what APLL offers. So we're right there. We at the right moment, at the right place in France to support those companies that need those products.
That's good. Right place, right time. That's a good thing. Okay, what about my last question for you today is about kind of where we go from here. So I know you don't have a crystal ball, but what do you see in APLL's future when it comes to Europe?
Yes, well, my immediate future is obviously to develop as much as we can in this country, France. But as far as APL Logistics Europe, we know that we're going to continue the expansion. That is for sure. It's an organic growth that is strategically investing in, I would say, European-centric countries with strong GDP. So I would let APLL to communicate on the name of the countries themselves later on. But this is to ensure our customers that we have the proper footprint in the geographical coverage that they need. That's our primary focus for this.
But where are we right now? Where are we right now in Europe?
Yeah, well, France now. We have a larger or longer presence in the UK, in Netherlands, and in Germany. So when you look at France, UK, Germany, Netherlands, those are the major key markets that you need to be in to start in Europe. I'm not saying that the other countries are irrelevant. I think this is the base, and that's why it makes perfect sense now to invest into the French market.
Yes, because we've been there for a while. We're well invested in Europe. Thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your insight. We so appreciate you. And for all you listening out there, thank you for joining us today. We'll catch you next time on the APLL Pulse podcast.
Thank you, April. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for joining us today. If you like what you heard, or if you have any questions about today's episode, reach out to us at global_marketing@apllogistics.com. Make sure to subscribe to us on your favorite podcast apps. You will also find us on LinkedIn or visit us at apllogistics.com. We'll see you next time on the APLL Pulse podcast.